What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us for the Move podcast. My name's Anthony. I'm here with my co-host,
Brandon.
Yep. What's up, guys? So we are just starting this podcast today. This is episode 0. We're still trying to just figure it out. And yeah, I mean, we spent quite a long time even just coming up with the name today.
We did.
Yeah. How long did that take us?
Almost at least an hour.
Yeah.
At least an hour messing around with all that.
Yeah. So we started this podcast with the idea to go over really just 4 things that we want to talk about in the podcast. So, we're loan officers here in Las Vegas. So we want to talk about mortgages, vision, entrepreneurship, and originating. So most of those sound pretty easy, but tell us more about originating and what that means for what we do as loan officers.
Yeah, so I think the big difference between how we have mortgage versus originating is mortgage is about the loan itself, about the mortgage that you're going to be attaining. Where originating is going to be more about our day-to-day and what we're doing on the weekends to earn business and grow and be entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But I'd say that's what we're going to be discussing most about is on originating.
Yeah. So just to touch on that a little bit. So as loan officers, right, we are in charge of making sure the mortgage actually happens. So, some of our day-to-day actual tasks, other than making connections and, meeting more people, is to make sure that things like your debt to income are correct, to make sure the file or your loan has a strong chance of making it through underwriting. Right. And, we're actually loan officers for a little bit different types of companies, too, which is really cool. So I actually work for a broker, right, while you work for...
I work for a lender, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So can you go over the differences on what that kind of means for you and I?
Yeah, so I know as a lender, we pretty much have as a big lender, I work with the Guaranteed Rate. We have a variety of different loan programs, and we're able to do not just your normal conventional FHA, VA, but we can also do jumbo, non-QM, and when it needs, we can always broker out deals for specialty programs. But compared to broker, where you're a little bit more constrained, I know you only have a certain amount of programs. Is that correct? Or
ooh, we're gonna have some beef.
And I know when it comes to pricing, there's a little bit of a difference as well.
There's definitely pros and cons, I think, to each. So with a broker, I have access to about 20 different places.
Okay.
So when I look at a file, I'm not really encouraged to go to a specific lender. I can shop around and find the best interest rate, the best closing costs, and kind of take the file that route.
Right.
So for example, right now I have some loans going with 3 different lenders. So, it's a little different because you really have to understand each lender.
Right.
And you don't have direct access to things like the underwriter, which is kind of a challenge on my side.
Yeah.
And so, but I would say our day-to-day for the most part, though, is very similar. So other than the differences of lender versus broker, right, loan officer, what does your day-to-day look like? Like, how do you go about your day and structure your day to try and, maybe just gain more business?
Yeah, so one of the big things that I've been doing to grow my brand, to grow my business, has been to work on my social media. That's been huge.
Yeah.
I'm just getting started, so that was one of the main things that I needed for almost a resume to introduce myself to people and show them, look at me, look what I'm doing. Like a virtual
handshake.
Exactly. I'm taking this seriously. I'm trying to grow and be the best that I can possibly be. So I've tried to make time, the first couple days of the week to just make content.
Yeah.
To spend all day coming up with ideas and then finding locations to film and come up with try and be a little creative, whether it's doing a TikTok, trending dance or...
Do you do dances?
I've done a couple.
No, you haven't.
I've done a couple. Yeah, I've done a couple. I'll show you what. I've done a couple. My most recent one was the Rihanna Super Bowl dance.
No way.
You're going to like that video, I swear.
Dude, you're like a 6'3", ex-football player.
I had to. It was, why I did it? And I tell everyone, it's just, you get burnt out from time to time, and you have to just... you want to switch it up. And that was kind of how I got into doing social media in the beginning. Before TikTok, it was Musical.ly.
Yeah.
And I used to play around on it when I was in college, writing my 20-page papers that were due first thing in the morning. And I'm like, I need to just shut down and just have a little fun, because I'm over here stressing the hell out. So
See, that's the opposite with me. I hate social media. It's not my thing. I got into, the loan game or being a loan officer simply to not do social media, and I think it's crucial, man.
You're preaching to the choir. I bagged on it so much when I first was seeing, like, I'd always watch my girlfriend be on social media, and I'm like, ugh. I can't imagine being in front of a camera like that and being so, at least feeling superficial.
Yeah.
From the influencers that you kind of see that are just too much.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're all bad. It's just I didn't think I could ever be that person in front of a camera. But
well, you kind of have a big TikTok following, kind of, right? I mean, at least from my perspective, I think you do.
I have 500 followers, so I'm still growing.
Okay.
I'm still growing. And I mean, my goal for TikTok was to be at 10K by the end of the year. So.
Oh, okay. I feel like that's a realistic goal.
I hope I can get there. It's definitely tough, but I know content is content is king. The more that you push out, the more that you post, and they say, from average 4 to 6 times they want you posting a day, and it's.
Do you do that?
I've had stints where I've done that a couple times, and not gonna lie, it does work. I went on YouTube, Shorts. I was posting. I made about 40 videos.
Wow.
And I just started posting them, and they're all short little clips with little quotes.
Yeah.
And I took my subscribers from one video. One video I posted hit 6,000 views.
Maybe that's what I saw, because I kind of swooped a little bit and saw yours. And maybe that's what I saw.
One video had 6,000 views, and overnight I went from 24 subscribers to 60, 65 or something like that. And I'm like, what? That was crazy. Just from one video.
Yeah.
So
what people don't, and I think this has taken me a long time to get to, is have you ever spoke in a room with 100 people?
Just for school.
Just for school.
Just for school projects, yeah.
Still nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's crazy to think that when you post something on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube Reels, whatever it is, and it gets only we say only 100 views. But if you imagine sitting in a room with 100 people and speaking in front of them, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, only when deemed upon you have to do those things.
Yeah, but in front of a screen, you're posting it to thousands or potentially thousands, even millions.
And that's what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, all right, I want 1 million people to watch my stupid video of me dancing.
Yeah. Well, we're different. Well, yeah. I mean, other than social media, what else has really worked for you with building up your business?
Yeah, so one of the big things is, what I was told, is pound the pavement. I mean, going to open houses and introducing myself to realtors. That definitely was the top thing that was coming from upper management to tell me, this is how you build your platform and you build your game. So I've been doing that. I was pretty much going on and off every other week, trying to go to open houses on Saturday and Sunday, Friday if I could do that.
Yeah.
That's one of my things that are on my arsenal to doing.
Yeah, man. Because we were talking about earlier, I do something similar, but it is the realtor game for me, at least. I think that's where I've seen the most success so far, and I think that's where I'm going to continue to see success.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there's a lot of ways to get business here as a loan officer, especially here in Vegas, because we have such a unique culture, I think, as a city, where you can be a loan officer working some job in the club late at night, as a host, maybe even a bartender or whatever, where you're just meeting so many people constantly all night long that if you can manage the two, your business just kind of succeeds as a loan officer.
I would agree. Yeah.
I mean, I have a friend of mine who is he either is or he used to be a host at one of the big clubs here in Las Vegas, and he does pretty good. Just he doesn't even full time do it, and he just has some people reach out to him all the time or regularly,
right,
about buying a house. Whether it's every once in a while an investor, maybe it's a group coming from California that he helped them with their club experience 6 months ago, and then he just casually threw in that he's a loan officer.
That's all it takes.
Exactly.
That's all it takes.
And so I think there's a lot of ways to kind of grow your business.
Yeah.
And as loan officers, I really do believe that we are entrepreneurs.
100%.
Yeah, like even though I'm a W-2 employee, I think you mentioned you're a W-2 employee,
Mm-hmm.
you are responsible for your business. I mean, so as loan officers, unless you work for, and I could be wrong in your situation, but unless you work for like a bank, you don't get a salary. Like I don't get any hourly. I don't get a salary. I just happen to, or you and I just happen to know a certain skill that we can change lives with.
Yep. And it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. I mean, I had a closing yesterday actually, and you know, he's just so happy. He's already talking about you know, changing like the carpets up, knocking down a wall.
There you go.
You know, doing things to the kitchen, you know, to get better tile, or like, you know, different tile and different countertops, and he's so excited. You know, and like that's a pretty cool feeling, because even when a realtor helps a client find a house, unless it's a cash deal, they don't have a deal without us. Like we're pretty critical to the entire process.
Yeah.
But let me ask first really quick, because we're both from California. Where or how did you get into being a loan officer?
Whew, yeah. So I got started doing an internship. So while I was in grad school at USC, getting my master's, my stepdad, he's worked in the mortgage industry for a long time now. And,
Oh, cool.
And I was always curious on what he did. And, you know, mom never talked about it too much. And I finally got it out of them. And I'm like, you know, I kind of want to do what you're doing. And so he said, all right, so one way you can get into it is we have an internship program at my old company. And it was 8 weeks. The first 4 weeks, you kind of jump around to every department that they have to kind of see a little bit of everything. And then the last 4 weeks, you got to choose what you wanted to do. So after the first 4 weeks, I liked the loan officer, you know, sector, and that's something I wanted to do. So I actually got put in that department. And
cool.
the first week, I actually almost quit the internship.
Really?
They sat me at a desk at a cubicle and just had me read guidelines. And I had no idea what I was reading, like hundreds of pages.
Sucks.
And I'm like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this applies to. Like, I'm trying to remember the graphs and the tables of LTV and whatnot. And I'm like, I just can't connect it with something. You know, it doesn't make sense. So the World Cup was going on, and that was probably the only thing that was keeping me there, because I would put the World Cup game underneath my desk and just watch, like, from an angle, like I'm reading guidelines and I'm not. Yeah. And I almost left after the second week after the World Cup was over. And I'm
done. The World Cup's over. I have no reason to do it.
You know, it's tough to sit there for, 8 hours in a day and just kind of be like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know, if this is, especially at that time in my life, I want to learn and grow. I mean, I've come this far. I want to be pushed and challenged, but I also wanted to understand why I'm kind of going through what I'm going through. And that second week, their processing department was looking for some help.
Oh, okay.
And so they brought me in as a junior processor, and the first second I walked in, the processor and the underwriter were just having a cussing match for 30 minutes straight while I was in there. And I was
like a little intern, like.
Yeah. I just sat in there and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to sit here, and I'm listening to them go back and forth cussing. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know people talk to each other like this in a professional manner, you know? Like,
yeah.
And it was just wild. And that was my first kind of little introduction to processing. And that's kind of what helped me a lot when I became a loan officer, because I got to kind of see what the ins and outs were, what documentation I needed, what documentation I'm looking at, you know, how to properly, process it and what it does, not just at point one, but how it helps the entire file from something small you can do up front. Yeah. So,
when I first started, man, I'm gonna be honest, like I always I always had jobs in high school and college and all that stuff, right? But I didn't even know, like, when I got the first person to tell me, like, I want to refinance my house, because I started with refinances.
Okay.
So refinance my house, I asked for the documents that they told me, like, my branch manager told me to ask for, and like I didn't even know what I was reading, like a W-2, like.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I was like, I think that's a W-2, and he's like, that's not a W-2. I'm like, how do I not know? Like, I felt like a loser. Like, okay, well, show me what a W-2 looks like. Like, I don't know. You just put me on the phone. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think everybody that gets into what we're doing has a period of time where it's like, it's just like anything. We have no idea what the hell's going on.
You get pushed into this industry. It's like a sink or swim. There's not. I didn't get a lot of. I know some people might give me some crap, but I didn't get a lot of help. I got tips.
Or
and
like
maybe
where
some
to look
advice.
up something.
Yeah.
Like that's what I got.
But I mean, there wasn't no like full on training program. If anything, I ended up making a training program for my team, but there wasn't like a full training program of this is how you do a loan. This is what you're supposed to be looking at when documents come in. You know, I utilized some of the people who had more wealth and knowledge in my department.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to. One of the loan officers I used to work with, she was a previous underwriter. So she was my go-to for everything. Yeah. She helped me so much on not just you do it because you do it. No, I hate that. I hate being told just to do it because that's the way it is. Like, tell me why you're doing that because I would like to understand the reasoning behind me clicking that button in the system or asking for that documentation. Just because now I can explain it to the next person I want to train or next person I want to help.
And that's like very, I would say standard in what we're doing. Like when you first start, like you don't know anything. And you almost have to kind of cling on to the people that do know something. And you almost have to hope if you're a new loan originator or loan officer, they're synonymous terms, that somebody will take you under their wing. Or else you're not going to make it. No. Like I'm a firm believer in that. If you don't have some type of favor from a loan officer that knows what they're doing, because when I got, my first refinance, they said go register the loan. The hell does that mean? What do you mean register the loan? And I go to the portal, go type in all the information. I'm typing in wrong. I'm getting all these errors, and I'm like, it was like the worst, probably 5 hours of my life. No help, just looking at errors and going, what am I looking at? And I think that speaks a lot of where you and I come from to the point of where we're at now.
Yeah.
Like there's a few situations, right, where I think as loan officers, we're always going to be learning.
Yep.
And the industry is always changing, but I think that after a certain amount, you just get to know what's going on. And I think the best thing that I can kind of talk about is like, you might not know the answer, but you know the right question to ask, which I think is the most important thing. And so that's kind of cool hearing your story about how you...
and a lot of the answers that you're looking for too are there.
Already,
they're already there. You just it's one keyword, that you're looking for, or just a little direction always goes a long way. If you have a great manager, that's huge. That's everything. Someone to push you or kind of challenge you to get to that point, because it's not easy. This job, there are times where it's really, really tough and really, really stressful. You can be relaxing, having a cup of coffee and being like, oh my God, I forgot something. And you're ready to fly off the rails. Like,
or like you approve somebody for a loan, like, hey, you can go shop for $400,000. And then, they go on a vacation and they spend all their money. And you're like, you can't buy the house now. Mm-hmm. You have to go to Hawaii right now. You couldn't have gone like a month from now when you find the house.
Yep.
And I think that's an unspoken key in the mortgage industry that you build up as well, is the ability to manage your stress. Yeah. I mean, especially if you have multiple deals going on, you have to be on your game. You have to know what's going on, and there's no choice. I haven't quite had it yet. I'm going to be honest. I have not had to have like a terrible conversation with a realtor saying this loan is not going to work and it's my fault. I have not had, or I have not had to have that conversation yet. I don't know if you have. I know it's coming.
I've been.
Like, it will happen eventually.
I have been a part of a couple situations. One, I stopped early and I felt super bad. you have to submit self-employed documentation through, we use LoanBeam, which is kind of it's automated system. They process the self-employed borrower's tax returns.
Oh,
so
that's nice.
So when it came back, it separated each year. And at first I didn't think it was much, because I was like, okay, like that kind of looks like the number, but I'm just okay, it's just a little weird. And I'm not going to challenge the system, because it knows all, right? So I'm like, okay, let's go with it. I'm like, you qualify a lot easily, 100%. And then I'm not joking you.
24 months.
I went to go play video games, because I don't. Man, like we were talking about earlier, like it's a grind Monday through Sunday. I mean, you're working. You never stop. So I tried to just take some time to myself and play a little bit, and I went and sat down and was playing FIFA for. I didn't even get to the game. Like I didn't even get to actually hitting the start for one game, and I was like, something seems wrong on that calculation. And I'm doing the math in my head and dividing, and I'm like, no, that number divided by 24 should not be that. And I went back and started playing with it, and I said, screw it, I'm just gonna start pressing buttons. And I'm like, oh my God, that looks right to me. And then I did a manual, I did it manually, and I was like, oh my God, it's so not right. And I had to hurry up and make the phone call and let them know. I'm like, we gotta stop now. There's something that definitely happened on the other side that messed me up, and then I caught it right before it got worse.
At least it wasn't in escrow.
And man, I always said, I was trying to explain myself to that too. Like, this could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
I know they're going to be upset, but it's something that you can bite this bullet compared to biting something when we're like, you got an offer, you're super pumped, and now everything's about to hit the fan. So,
especially when you have situations like that where you've approved them for something, and then you can still approve them, in a situation like that. Probably.
Yeah, I was still able to approve them, just nowhere near. Yeah.
And then their hopes are up at a certain price point, and then they see something else, and they're like, oh, that's.
There's gonna be mistakes. I don't know how many times I forgot a fee and I thought it was the end of the world, and things like that, or I underdisclosed by a couple $100, but it just felt like the world, that you messed up, and it's just those little things. It does. You remember those forever, and it's gonna help you improve. Talking about stress, I don't know your background, but I mean, I used to work as an EMT.
Oh, okay.
So stress and all of that was like part of the job, and a lot of that has helped. Tremendous. I always say my background, because I was trying to be a firefighter before this. All that training I did, and then getting my degree and everything in communication really helped shape me perfectly kind of for this position, to take it on a little bit more. I'd say just be in a better spot. Because stressful situations do happen.
Absolutely.
They happen.
And off topic but on topic, just so everybody knows, you don't actually have to have a 4-year college degree to do what we do.
No, you do not.
You do not. I'll say it helps, because there are some things you could benefit from.
Oh yeah, you definitely can. Like the alumni circle, it's huge.
Yeah, and I think so. You don't need a college degree to do what we do, but I will say, if the maturity aspect helps. Just getting through, because I didn't get my master's, I got my bachelor's though, but, just getting through those 4 years and then jumping in a little bit later, I think that helps. But no, I just wanted to let everybody know that you don't actually need to have a degree to do what we do.
No,
You do need guidance.
It wasn't what the original, I didn't go to school just to be a loan officer.
I don't think anybody does.
No,
but
just presented itself.
Yeah, but when you're successful at it, it's like the best job ever. Like when you get successful at it, there's no other industry that.
No, like they said,
do what we do.
You can make what lawyers make. You can make what doctors make, and some.
Yeah.
It can be very lucrative business.
And you live your own lifestyle. If I want to take a 2-hour lunch, or go see my girlfriend, or go do whatever I want to do, you just go do it.
100%. Oh, I'm so spoiled.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I could work another job and be comfortable with a 9 to 5. It's going to be hard to go to anything like that.
That's me too. Because sometimes, especially when the market gets tough, like it has been for the last year, sometimes you think, man, I could go get a job right now for whatever, 80 grand, 100 grand, 70 grand, whatever your number is.
I don't know about here in Vegas.
I don't know.
You're looking at maybe 40 30.
I don't know. I dream big, but you think sometimes you think like, oh man, you can go get a corporate job somewhere doing something, even as a lower levels, whatever. But then you're like, oh,
It's gonna suck. You have
I
to
gotta
wake
go
up early now.
into the
Earlier,
office, like,
even earlier than
every day.
normal. Yeah, you got to make a whole new routine.
like, and then you're stuck in that office.
Yeah.
You can't leave. Like when I'm done for the day and I want to leave at 2:00, I ask my processors, hey, do you need anything else from me with my files?
Yeah.
No, you're good. And then I go home.
I'm not gonna lie. I miss going into the office from time to time. I miss that feeling.
Yeah, that's
It's
why I
nice.
still go in. I
Yeah.
probably go in every day, but it's by choice. Like if
Okay,
I had a
okay,
rough
okay.
night the night before for whatever reason, right? I couldn't sleep or, recently like my bathroom flooded. And so I had to deal with that all night, so I didn't go into the office till probably 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Whereas at another setting where you're getting a salary and you're getting, whatever, an X amount,
Right.
you don't really have choice or it looks bad and you got, I think we're spoiled.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm screwed.
Yeah, if we ever try to do something normal.
Now I know why everyone's like, this is all I know.
Yeah.
There's no going
There's
back.
yeah. I had a conversation with, her name's Tina. She is the, I don't really know what her title is with my company. She's a manager of something, maybe a correspondent channel that we're trying to get started at Streamline. But she was telling me every time she's tried to leave the mortgage business, she gets pulled back in.
Yeah.
Because one, she can't make what she makes.
The money.
The money is good if you're closing even 2 or 3 loans a month. Your money is good.
Yep.
And then the lifestyle.
Yep.
You want to go drink a margarita at 12 o'clock? Not that I suggest it.
Not that you should.
Not that you should, but like you absolutely can.
Yes, you can. You have the ability to do that, especially here in Vegas.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yep.
But yeah, well, is there anything else you want to kind of talk about?
Well, tell us about your background. How did you get into mortgage?
Yeah.
What got you here?
Yeah. So similar story, went to college. I got my degree in something that did not help me in this industry really at all.
What'd you get it in?
Healthcare administration.
Okay. I got mine in communication.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
I'm not entirely proud. I wish I could have done. I would have preferred to do business if I had a choice. It was just community college screwed me in that path, and there's no going. There's no going back. But why healthcare?
Well, I originally was playing around with the idea of going to med school.
Oh wow!
And I knew I just had a feeling that once I made it through med school, I wasn't going to be happy in that field. So I went to healthcare administration, thinking I could open up a clinic, be a little more hands off. So I think I was always on a path towards something business.
Okay.
And then I got into my clinicals doing some clinical work for, a healthcare position, and I ended up quitting. I started a company called KCB Screening with my partners, and it's going really well. It was definitely going really well. Kind of right when we started, we got lucky, found some good clients, and that was in Anaheim, California.
Okay, nice.
But for the first 6 months, I actually had no money coming in at all. Standard, right? Well, actually, most it's probably 2 years before you get your first paycheck. But for 6 months, I had no money, so I actually picked up loan signing as like a little side hustle.
Okay.
So at night, I would go do loan signings, and I would go to people's houses as a mobile notary in California.
How was that? I was told to get my notary license like a whole bunch of times to make extra income, but
well, the money was okay. You'd make anywhere from like $75 to $200
a signing.
a signing.
Okay.
You would go to a house or a title office. And yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was actually kind of creative. I was just talking about this a couple days ago with another real estate professional. And I was telling her that I had a battery in the back of my car with a printer, like a mobile printer. So I could print out the 100-page documents, if I needed to.
God.
And I would print it out. And then if I had to go to a house, and I would go take that into the house and go do that. So it was actually way more. Yeah, it was way more in depth than I thought. But I started kind of doing it, right? Mm-hmm. And then I started as I got more familiar with the documents. I went, these loan guys are making, loan guys are making this kind of money, and they're not even going over the documents. I'm going over their documents so that they can make a good amount of money. And I was like, something's like backwards. Yeah. Something's backwards. And so I just slowly got into the loan industry. I started at a call center where my job was to be the annoying guy that would call you all day long. I made 100 to 200 to sometimes 300 calls a day if my conversation skills were really bad that day. And my whole job was to just refinance people. And as much as it sucked, I stayed with it because I knew the experience was more than gold for me. Because when you're making that many calls and you're putting that many people in process, and other people around you are putting that many people in process, and similar situation in kind of like a cubicle, that's just how I got started. And then I was still running my company at the same time.
Huge.
Yeah, so luckily I found the right employer who was willing to say, I'm going to let you run that while you make your calls and do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
Just don't suck. And luckily I think I was pretty good at it. And and then now I transferred out to being what we call a self-generated loan officer.
Yep.
So we're not using any, I mean, I think I might have access to them, but I don't use them. Like leads. I don't get any leads.
Oh, okay.
I am just, you're self-generated, you're a hunter, your goal is to build a brand.
Right.
Your goal is to meet realtors, insurance people, home warranty people, anybody that can help you succeed and you can help them succeed.
Yep.
And you make a lot more per loan doing what we do, which I quickly realized when I got my first.
How much did you get paid in the call center?
Oh, it was atrocious.
Yeah.
It was atrocious. It was like maybe 20% of the origination fee.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah, I remember closing, I think I had 5 closings one month and they gave me $4,500. And then I was like, I'm leaving. This is ridiculous. And then
that's what you get for paying for what they pay for leads.
I guess, but then I like calculated up the volume and I was like,
it's not adding up.
That should have been a lot more. And then so that was when it clicked for me was okay, now that I understand how this works, I understand the dynamic of a loan officer with their processors, with underwriting, with all the random little roles that are associated within a mortgage transaction. Yep. I just said, I think I can do this on my own. And then
it's huge, man. It's huge.
And I knew very early on that I did not want to get stuck in that rat race. Because if you're really efficient at the call center industry, like in that environment, you can do well.
Yeah.
You're closing a lot of loans, a lot of volume every month, and you're almost like a machine. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I did not want to become a good machine, a well-oiled machine in that way, because then I would never leave.
You get comfortable.
You go buy a house. Yeah. You go get the nice car you want. Mm-hmm. You live a certain lifestyle. You go after you're done off work. You get the steaks. You go.
The food comes to you. You are a lion in a zoo. Yeah. And the food comes on a nice, pretty platter, and it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough because I was in the same position. I was working with our outside loan officers who were retail, and they would send in loans to our department for pricing or down payment assistance or out-of-state stuff. So we got to touch files and talk to borrowers, and it was a great, first steps into learning the mortgage business and learning how to work a file and get to talk to borrowers and other loan officers to see their styles. And it was great. It started off slow, and then it would pick up, and then it'd be fantastic. And like I said, I did get really good. I got good enough to where you
get good fast.
You get good really fast, and especially if you've got a good head on your shoulders, you're gonna catch on super quick. And that was one of the things that I didn't want.
Yeah.
I mean, my goal was to be in that type of environment for only a year, and then to get out and start getting that experience.
Yeah, that's where I was at too.
But 1 year turned into 3 years, and I was like, oh my God, okay, it's time. It's just time to make that jump.
Well, lucky for me, the refis kind of stopped. So I knew, well, if I'm not going to make very much money here,
right,
and we're still calling these garbage refinance leads, I might as well go make no money somewhere else until I get my self-generated business going.
Right. It's gonna be tough to get a refinance with a 2.5% interest rate.
Hey, I just did one. It's closing tomorrow morning.
Wow. Someone refinanced who had a current 2.5% rate?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, what are they doing?
No, she was in an adjustable mortgage where it was jumping up to 7%, and I was able to get her a better rate.
Oh, fantastic.
And then it was spreading it out over, the 30 years. So then her payment went down from that as well. And it was an investment property. So she was really only worried about cash flow. She just wanted extra money.
Okay. No, that's fantastic.
And and she is, I think she's like 75.
Oh, wow.
So she really has no intentions. She's told me, I have no intentions of paying it off.
Right.
I want as much free cash as I can.
Yeah.
I said, well, then here's your option. Going over the numbers. Go for it. Let's do it. And I don't know. I think jumping from starting in the call center, if you're a new loan officer, is amazing. Mm-hmm. I think if you can suck it up and put up with the crazy quotas they give you, and you can, deal with, maybe a boss breathing down your throat for a while, it's a great place to learn.
It's you have to put your pride to the side a little, a lot. I mean, it was so hard for me to come into my department with having a master's and be like, I want more. Yeah. And why am I not getting more leads and more business, or how come you're not giving me files? It was so difficult. Even though I still pushed, I still had to kind of be humble, because if you want deals and they throw it at you, they're going to see what you're really made of. And if you drown and you mess up, because it can be stressful just to handle your first deal.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, 5 hours for my first registration.
Oh, man. Just trying to look up a guideline for anything. It's intense the first couple months. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's to analyze. It's not that it's hard. You're going through it through your first time, so it's going to take you a little time to analyze how to handle that certain type of situation. Because after a while, it's clockwork. You know exactly where to go. You know exactly where to redirect them to.
And so I think we had pretty similar experiences getting into the industry. And I think it's cool that you started kind of as a processor, or you got into that early. Yeah. And because that's something that I'd never done. Mm-hmm. But I think that's also another good way to get into it, is start in a different role, like maybe title, loan signing, processing, something where you can just get exposure to the general process. Yeah. I think it's probably, well, maybe not, but it might be pretty
rare.
Loan
officer assistant. I mean, same thing. You're going to get your hands.
That's a good one too.
They are beasts. I mean, LOAs do a lot of work.
They do a lot of stuff.
They do a lot. So
especially the stuff where, if you have, they're almost more efficient than we are in a lot of cases. Like, and I hate to say that because I don't want to throw shade on myself, but sometimes if you have a lot of files going, you're like, I don't want to type all this information. And that sounds really dumb, but sometimes you're sitting there for an hour just importing information that is so minuscule.
That's the goal, right?
I don't know.
The goal is to be able to pass down the duties, because, and I think every entrepreneur who's successful talks about it, is you need to pass the buck along, because your time is valuable, very valuable. So you have to make sure you're putting your resources into the right places. And LOAs, if you can have one, I mean, that's huge. They do a lot of that little stuff that you normally would have to do, put things into the file, make sure everything looks good for when you send it off to processing and underwriting. It's the TD work. Yeah. The very tedious work is the stuff that goes a long way. Yeah.
And you usually don't, just so everybody knows, you usually don't need an LOA. How many loans would you say you would really, so you really needed? So LOA also stands for loan officer assistant.
Yes, loan officer assistant.
How many would you say? I think if you're really devoted, I don't even know, 6 closings a month?
Well, how many deals do you think you could personally handle before it starts getting a little too crazy? I'd say that's more realistic.
If I don't want to have a life, probably 6, 7 before I'm like...
I would agree with you. I would say if I'm getting between anything more than 6 on a regular basis, that probably doesn't include just the normal leads you're getting that you're trying to get people qualified for. So you're probably really, really busy. Yeah. Really busy. And that's... you're making decent money at that point doing
Yeah.
6 deals a month, and not even 6. It could be like
Decent money.
10 the next month, you know?
Yeah. And you're in charge of still finding more business, because if you get complacent and you just say, oh, you close those 6 and you just take a month off, what a lot of loan officers do,
Yeah.
your business will severely suffer. You almost you have
time.
to be front facing, front looking, while still maintaining what's behind you.
Hmm. Well, you can't get stuck behind your desk, right?
Yeah.
They don't want a lot of those guys can't get stuck behind their desk because, like you said, they have to keep that business going.
Yeah.
You're not looking to do a deal for next month. You're looking for the deal for 2 to 3 months out.
Oh,
You're
okay.
planning for the future.
Oh, yeah,
on your
yeah,
future
yeah.
deals. Yeah.
Yeah. Because a lot of the time, right, when I love that you said that, because when somebody shows interest in buying a house, you got to wait for their documents to come in, which takes them sometimes weeks to actually get the documents.
Yep.
Then they can possibly get cold feet, and then they're wishy-washy for a little bit, and then they come back, and then your loan is a 30-day escrow, or if you're good, 14 days. But I'd say the average purchase, especially on like an FHA loan, is probably 30 days. From point of contact to actually closing the deal, you don't really see any money on that deal for, I would argue, 3 months, 2 months, probably at least 2 months, probably closer to 3, because they're not going to love the first house they see. Mm-hmm. They're gonna be putting offers in on houses with the realtor that might not get chosen because there's other offers that are better.
Right.
Or stronger, I should say. And then they got to look for a whole nother house. They got to keep going. I mean, I had one deal close a couple months ago that the realtor looked at 17 houses with the buyers. And, by like house 6, probably, they had a house they wanted. And then it just, they ordered an inspection. Everything was looking good. It was almost like their perfect house, and then then the inspection came back saying, yeah, you have $100,000 in this house worth of foundation damage that you need to fix.
Oh.
So they backed out. They started all over again. You really don't see money in this industry when you talk to somebody until probably 3 months later. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, you're definitely working for free for a little while.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes people don't understand that.
Yeah.
You get a couple of those every now and then.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And they say you should have, when you first start, at least, 6 months in the bank? I would argue 12, at least in this market, if you're new in this market.
Right now, yeah.
I would say 12 months of
reserves.
Basic reserves to get you by.
Yep.
And, but I guess the general rule of thumb would be 6. But, I mean, the market's getting a little bit better right now than maybe a year ago was real rough.
Really rough. I think we're barely even coming out of it, and that's being nice because, I mean, I don't know if you heard the market lead, but they're going to hike it even more.
I hope not. I don't even follow. I should follow it, but I choose not to because it's so damn depressing.
I heard 25 easily. It's coming 25 more basis points, and then I heard from again today that one guy was even talking about hiking it 75 more, and I'm like, Jesus! I thought we were done. We're supposed to have one more hike in the next month, and then it's supposed to be good news from there.
I don't trust it. I don't trust it. If it happens, it happens. My business is not going to change.
No, the game plan doesn't change.
The game plan stays the same.
Right.
But I'm severely hoping that doesn't happen.
Because it's hard. It's hard talking people off what they hear in the news every day. I mean, you can't. How can you change what's coming out? Everyone's talking about the same things. Home values are really high. And interest rates really high.
And then when you talk about it as a loan officer, they think you're just trying to make a sale. So then they don't trust you.
It's tough. It's tough.
But at the end of the day, who knows more about mortgages than loan officers?
Well, at the end of the day, we're not trying. As much as we want to make a deal happen, we're not going to force a deal.
We can't. You have to sign the documents. You have to get, you have to show interest, and you have to sit at the closing table and sign those documents.
And a good LO is going to go over your payment, going to go over the details of the loan that you chose, and make sure that it benefits you. You know,
why you have mortgage insurance. Why all the little things that come up.
Yeah, not every program is going to benefit each borrower, especially an investor. They might not have the same plans as someone who plans on being in a house for their life. That one home is going to be their forever home.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to look at that. What's going to be their best play?
Yeah.
But Yeah, it's wild. It's wild times right now. It's definitely tough, but it definitely doesn't change. At least my game plan. I know it's not going to change your game plan of originating in the day to day.
Yeah, because eventually the market, even if it goes up again, eventually the market will come back.
Yeah, it's the cycle. It's the normal
it's a cycle.
Yeah.
It is a cycle.
It's a normal cycle.
I think the cycle might be prolonged a little bit if they up it.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna throw a little curveball in the wrench. But I mean, summer usually. When does everybody get out of school? Like I know for college it's May May, but June is more of for elementary school through high school.
I think so.
K through 12. So I know
June, July,
that's
August,
usually when it's supposed to pop off is that June time frame.
Yeah.
So we're getting close. We're getting closer, and we haven't seen a whole bunch of improvement enough to be like everyone needs to jump on this right now. At least not where I'm at. It's not huge enough yet.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of an uptick, but it's just hard. Everybody wants to buy a house. Everybody wants to move still. Everybody wants these things, but it's really hard convincing somebody like you said, who's in a 2% interest rate, and their home went up $200,000 in equity. Why would they ever move, even if they don't like the house?
I have a 2.75 in my house. I don't know what
You're
to do.
gonna hold that till the day you die, probably.
It might just go to 30 years. I mean, I hope I don't. There's other ways to pay off your mortgage, before that, and I hope to be able to do that. But I mean, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like I said, unless it makes absolute sense. If I'm trying to invest in something, I need
maybe
cash.
Yeah, maybe you put a renter in there and go somewhere else. But even then, that's a hard pill to swallow. Going from 2.5 payment to 6.5, 7, 7.5.
Never do it.
Like especially if they keep going. If they
it would
up
have
it
to
more,
come down to the 4s for me to be like, okay.
Yeah.
Like if I'm paying off a ton of debt and then I still get my same mortgage payment, done. I'll do that all day long.
Yeah.
If I'm saving $500-600 a month, deal. Yeah. I'll sign the dotted line.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be a while before we see that type of interest rate and it make that much sense. And I think that goes for a lot of people. Yeah. They're gonna be in the same boat.
I think it's kind of interesting how they're saying they're thinking about increasing the rates, but then I don't know how true it is, but I saw something about a 40-year FHA mortgage. Did you see that too?
I did, but it's not I think a lot of people are getting that mixed up. It's not a mortgage you can choose a 40-year term. It's for loan modification.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if that's what that was, because obviously we know what loan modifications are, but I didn't know much about the 40-year FHA. I just saw some posts about it, and I was like, oh, that would be a game changer. But if it's just for modifications, then that's still a game changer.
It's still a game changer,
people, but not for the first-time home buyers. They're not going to benefit.
I don't know. I don't like the whole extending it longer.
You pay so much
paying
in interest,
so much more in interest.
So much.
It's just I don't really like it too much, but
if he needs it to keep the house, he needs it.
True. I mean, if it's with the way everything's been going, I mean, if they were to bring out 40-year mortgages, everybody would jump on that right now.
Oh,
it would be so hot. I'd sell it. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
if you can get someone into a house and be like, okay, 5 years, let's refinance you into a 30. Something like that.
It's an easy conversation.
Huge, and it would be super advantageous to someone if that was kind of like that, but I don't think they want to do that.
No, it's contradictory to what they're trying to do with the rates.
Yeah.
They're trying to stop inflation. They're trying to pause home buying. Mm-hmm. They're trying to not let as much money out.
Yep.
So why would they want to do a 40? You know what I mean? Why would they want to really do that?
Yeah.
I mean, other than maybe the fact that if somebody does stay in a 40-year mortgage for the rest of their life, they made so much more off the interest. But
possibly, But I mean, a lot of that interest is up front. So I mean,
I know it's in the first. Well, I wonder how that would look, right? In a 40-year loan, would that just mean that your front, like the
first 20 years,
the first half,
Yeah, it'd be they'd tack it on for sure. It's crazy to see that.
Yeah.
How much your interest you're paying. It's more than your principal for so long.
I know.
It kills me.
It's crazy.
I hate looking at my mortgage statement sometimes.
Yeah. But all right. Yeah. Well, cool. We've hit we're almost at 50 minutes. I think that
was our goal. We were kind of shooting. Yeah.
Yeah. We, like I said, this is a test run just to see what happens on episode 0. And thank you for joining us. My name's Anthony.
Yeah, I'm Brandon. Thank you for watching, you guys.
Yeah. And we'll see you next time.
Yep. Take care.